Hello everybody and welcome to Lawrie's Mechanical Marvels. And this week we've got something exciting coming up. Because we, as professional YouTubers now, have been asked to take part in a challenge. That's right, with other people outside of the group here. What challenge, I hear you ask? We've been asked to take place in a drag race. Which is awesome, because drag racing is awesome, it's straight line, it's not complicated, even I can do it.
There's no bushes to crash into.
Trees. The trees are a long way away and generally don't jump out in front of you. So the question I guess that you're all asking is, which vehicle are we going to take drag racing? Clearly this would be the most fun, but it still doesn't work. So what of the collection are we going to take?
None of it.
That's right. Part of the challenge is we've got to buy a drag car, which is road legal, for less than £500. So,
You don't have any money left after buying all of this, do you?
I have no money whatsoever, which is a slight problem. So I mean, we had to go out and buy a new vehicle. And when I say we, I mean Matt. So we're going to be doing this with a couple of other YouTube channels. We're going to be doing it with Planet Auto, The Rubbish Mechanic, Lloyd's
Vehicle Consulting.
Lloyd's Vehicle Consulting, and Furious Driving. Or Furious Drive?
Furious Driving.
Yeah. And a link to all of their channels will be in the video description, and we'll probably flash it up on the screen as I said it. So cool, we're going to be doing something with other YouTubers, and we're going to get to meet them and hang out with them and talk whatever car YouTubers talk about.
I just want to show off my new car though.
Yeah, so with this project, Matt's taken leadership over it because I've been busy with another project for another challenge that will be coming out later in the year for you guys to enjoy. And so this is a Matt project, guys. I feature in it a little bit here, and I came along and annoyed him a couple of times when he's been working on this thing over here.
I just want to point out before we reveal this was £300. It's a Toyota Celica Mark 7, and ignore the cotton, it's not just any Toyota Celica Mark 7, this is a T-Sport. That means it's got a 190 horsepower VVT Li engine in it, which means it is pretty rapid. You might be thinking, it's quite a lot of car for £300, and it didn't look like this when we picked it up, did it?
No, it did not.
In fact, coming up on screen is what it started life as. Only that wasn't what it looked like when we got it. It looked about 10 times worse.
Oh, it was a little bit rough. The first impression we got of it was parked inside a bush.
Not just a little bit inside a bush. I mean, if you cut the car, it would cut about here of all of this in a hedge.
It reminded me of my incident with an MR2 parked inside a bush level.
And when we pulled it out, before I even got a chance to have a test drive with it, it was about 10 minutes of scrubbing the windscreen to get the bird excrement. Not joking, about this thick in it. Bearing in mind, this place we went to get it was in the middle of deepest, darkest Norfolk. Hills of Eyes, Norfolk.
Yeah, proper. Like, the postcode for the place was like the size of Manchester. And we got very lost. We went after work, and it was getting dark when we arrived where we thought we should be, which was very wrong. And it took about another 20 minutes to find this.
This £300 Toyota Celica, which looks far better now. And you wouldn't really think £200 would buy everything you needed to turn the monstrosity we picked up into this.
No, because a lot of the bits Matt needed for this, because when we bought it, it did indeed have an MOT. But fast forward to where we are now, it required another MOT. And a lot of the bits you needed were quite expensive.
Yes, so for example, the one thing it really needed, the rear handbrake was not engaging at all, and the plates the handbrake assembly mount to, they were about £180. So that alone was basically everything I had to fix the vehicle. And
it was scabby. It drove quite nicely, admittedly, driving it home. I got a drive, and it's a nice little car. It drives relatively well, but it did feel like it had no love for decades.
Yes. So We were busy up here one day in the shed, and Trev was browsing around on the old Facebook Marketplace.
Trev spends a lot of his time on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Retro Ride Forum.
Anywhere you get cheap cars.
Trev likes looking at cheap cars and then sending them to us. He's learned that if he sends them to me, I try to buy them. So I don't get them so much. Anyway, Trev came in, found something quite exciting.
He found a Toyota Celica. Not a T-Sport like this, obviously, for £350 online. It looked pristine. I kid you not, everything on it looked mint, it looked perfect, and the engine was very, very, very bad. The engine was misfiring. I had bargained him down online from 350 to 250, thinking that if we scrapped the shell after we bought it, there would be some money left over and we'd still be under budget for the challenge.
So, everybody got quite excited about this new car, put down tools, forgot about all these wonderful things we have in the shed, and we all got in a couple of cars, well, with some tools, and drove down to inspect this car. And we decided that 4 strapping, young, aggressive-looking lads turning up at somebody's house would be a little bit off-putting. So we hid while Matt went to see the car.
And the owner came back with a key. He pressed the button and nothing happened. Oh, it's been sat for a month, battery's flat, that's fine. Put the key in the door, and it didn't turn. Immediately, I think the first thing I said was, can I see some paperwork for this here motor vehicle?
And then he went and said, guys, I need some help. The car won't open. To which we all went, are you sure this is a good idea, Matt? As we all valiantly tried the key, convinced that the other 3 people who had attempted to use the key had done it wrong. But it does indeed not fit. Which brings us on to this interesting concept. We knew that the fob would unlock it, set the seller. Now, I don't know if you know this, guys, but in order for that to work, you need to put power to the battery. Now, getting to the battery involves lifting the bonnet or the hood for our American viewers. To release the bonnet/hood, you need to get into the car to release it. To get into the car, you need power, which we don't have. So
there's a feedback loop there.
There's a feedback loop of we can't get into it. Now, luckily, we're prepared for such things. So the boys, Morgan and Trev, went to the car, brought out the toolkit and a couple of jacks. And for the next about an hour,
maybe 2,
me and Matt struggled underneath the car to release the bonnet. And we can happily tell you that it is entirely possible to release the bonnet of a 7th generation Toyota Celica from underneath.
With a screwdriver and a lot of swearing.
A lot of swearing. So, success and jubilation, we lifted the bonnet to realise that despite the fact that we own 3 sets of jump cables in the shed, none of us thought to put one of those into the cars that we went down with. We had a tow rope, jacks, many tools, but not jumper cables. So the gentleman selling the car had to then call up one of his mates to come round with some jumper cables.
Yes, so he arrived, we got it jump started, and we listened to the glorious sound of a 3-cylinder engine.
It is not healthy. It was, if you stood behind the car and felt the exhaust, you could feel it going pop, 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 pop. You could feel the gap where it wasn't exhausting. And we're going, this is a bad idea. So we opened the car up. As I looked inside, the fuel gauge went from 1 bar to no bar, and then I thought, it's getting dark. Let's make sure the lights work on this absolute heap. We'd already disconnected the battery to make sure that the car was sustaining. As soon as I turned the lights on, the battery gave up and the car stopped and wouldn't restart. So we tried again, this time letting it run for a bit longer, and eventually, after almost killing it a second time, the lights were on and the engine was running. Badly.
It wasn't bad at all. I mean, you had the 3 fires, like you said, and that misfire, instead of doing what it was supposed to do and compress fuel, instead it just shot fuel out the exhaust through an exhaust which had been cut and welded and mangled into a nightmare mess with no mufflers. And it might have had a cat at some point in its life, so it was making fire.
Matt agreed to buy this thing, with the rest of us going,
for 50 quid off, because we couldn't get into it.
Oh yeah, in fairness, he did reward us for a ridiculous amount of effort. You guys really don't appreciate just how much hard work it was to get this car started. So we went off to drive this car home with me riding shotgun, Matt driving, and in fact we got some video, haven't we, of the journey.
It was fun.
So, Matt, would you like to, if I just turn the blue light on so we can...
Yeah. You just heard what's quite so funny to me right there?
Would you like to explain what has happened, just so if you, when you look back at this as an older man?
Yeah. Well, what's happened is that I bought a £200 car. It has 3 out of 4 cylinders.
Oh, I fixed it again.
Oh, did that break? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I broke it and then fixed it.
Yeah, the car is not good, but it looks good from the outside, and it has some bits I want to steal, like these, there's lowering springs on it, which
and that light up.
Yes, this light's going on mine as well. And it pops and bangs like...
It wouldn't start. Oh, jeez. It didn't want to start, it didn't want to run. When we turned the headlights on the first time, the engine immediately stopped. We have on the dash a engine warning light flashing.
I think that's because it's missing a cylinder.
No, do you really, you think maybe that has something to do with it?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you've come to that same conclusion that I have.
I noticed after I did that big flame, Morgan was quite close behind me. Now he's really far behind me.
Is that Morgan?
Yeah, I think he's passing us because he's fed up.
Trev did say the report is it smells like it's burning oil.
And there's clouds of black smoke erupting from it.
And then it also does a lot of fire.
Yeah.
And also it smells foul. So
it smells of fire.
It smells of death. It smells of failure. If we get this back to Sudbury, it will be nothing short of a miracle. Oh, there's a car that's dead at the side of the road. Look, that's
not us.
It's going to be us in a few hours. Look at him there, dead. One day, that's going to be us.
Oh, look, Toyota, we'll just go here.
Yeah, we'll just dump it off in Toyota and be like, hi guys.
Fix it!
It's not quite right.
Oh, wait, we're on an industrial estate now, aren't we?
Home of the copper. I wish you could see my face camera, because the look I keep giving Matt is of pure disgust. He is so sickeningly pleased with himself.
I'm so happy.
No,
bang, bang, bang.
You, sir, are a prat. And that's coming from me.
Most of the journey was me going, Matt, please, for the love of something, don't attract attention to ourselves. This is not right.
Bang!
Matt, the engine is clearly dying. Please be careful. I don't want to have to tow it. Bang! Bang! I mean, you did have to. It had no power.
No, it was completely gutless and used half a tank of fuel to drive about 40 minutes. It was foot to the floor and it was wheezing and struggling just to get anywhere.
We had Morgan behind us, and I've never seen him quite so angry.
We got overtaken about 2 minutes in as he stormed past, and when we next pulled over, he said, I wasn't sitting behind that, I was choking on the smell of oil.
The engine was not healthy.
In fact, when we pulled over and took off again, I kind of put my foot down as we went away, and there was a cloud of smoke. Probably could have filled this shed, came out of the exhaust.
It was on, if you guys have seen the video of Jeb, the international starting, it's on par with that kind of level of stuff coming out. It's bad. But we did get it back to Matt's house, and where Matt has begun what is quite frankly an amazing transformation.
Yes, with the other car, the shell was a little bit better, and if I wasn't running out of quite so much time for this thing's first big challenge, I would have just swapped the engine from this into the other one. But time was pressing, and so everything from that one came onto this. So, starting from the front bumper came on over.
And that's the later generation, right? This is a facelift bumper.
Yes, so that's the facelift bumper, which is why it looks slightly different to what it was on initially. That was easy.
I mean, the fact is the colour matches on this as well.
Yeah, we were lucky to find one in blue.
That's, of all the cars, the colour matches, so it looks right, but yep.
So,
headlights as well.
Yeah, so the headlights were cloudy, and these ones have xenons in them, so they are like staring into the sun. It's brilliant.
At which point, we are already quids in with this car.
Then we have the wing over there on that side. That was that looked like it had been booted in and spray painted with the wrong colour blue.
Yes, it was interesting aesthetic choice on that wing.
Yes.
You also got these sick alloys.
No, these are from the initial car. There was alloys on the other car, but they had terrible tyres, so they got that.
Gotcha.
The big thing which happened is the rear end.
Yeah, because it's all pretty now.
That one too, but I mean the actual rear end.
Oh, right, yeah. Matt's done some quite extensive surgery.
Oh, way easier. That's it. Hey! I accomplished something. That's bad. That's very bad. I've been looking forward to this. It's a big moment. Hey! Job done. Almost done. Only got to rebolt everything in. Is this going to fall on my head? The answer probably to that is no. That's surprising. Right, now they're out of the way, I can attach the new ones, and then I can worry about, you know, actually attaching them down the length of the car so they're not dragging on the floor. Oh, this has actually been surprisingly painless. Probably shouldn't say that before I'm actually done. There you go, have fun. Sounds like a car under here. I haven't done the rear speed sensors yet. Glad I just spotted those. So they're attached on these brackets. This is one from the other suspension unit. These bolts are kind of really hard to get out, and one of them actually sheared on the other, so I'm trying to avoid doing that. The way it's held on is so sensor here, it's clamped on there, and then it's actually cable tied from the factory through there, so we're going to repeat that on this side. You probably won't be able to see what I'm doing because there's no space. All this is done correctly, I won't have any ABS warning lights. My first time having a car with ABS. It's luxury. And AC. And from this millennium. There we are. One speed sensor all connected. Actually, both speed sensors are all connected. Rear end is done. No, it's not. I've still got the brakes to do. Okay. So, I've just finished adjusting the handbrakes on this, so now to see. Spins nice and freely. Same on this side. This one scrapes a lot less. Yeah. So, officially, the dangerous fault in its MOT is actually fixed. And I accomplished something. It's good. The entire suspension unit, everything connected to it, all out and swapped over.
Now, you guys probably have watched What's Broken Out and realised that we don't have an awful lot of equipment in the shed. Most of what we do is just hard work and some jacks and trying to get on with stuff. Matt did all of this on his driveway with hand tools, very little power.
In about 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, with nothing but swearing. Some of the LMM team, I was there for most of the time that we weren't filming, obviously.
Or you turned up once.
Yeah.
And you didn't even do anything then.
I was helpful.
There were also some other additional items swapped over from the breaker into the new car. From front to back on this handy model of my Celica here, we're going to discover them. So, the front fog lights, well, they were covered in paint, so they got changed. The washer bottle at the front was filled with about 6 inches of silt, so that was changed. That had proceeded to burn out the washer pump and clog up the washer jets, so both of those went as well. The head unit was, that just wasn't very good, so that was replaced. The aerial didn't work, so that also got swapped over. The front struts and springs also got changed, just to get those lowering springs on there, and the original items were, well, they were very damaged. The front drop links got changed along with the suspension. And then the entire rear of the interior has been swapped. The front follows suit, maybe except the seats. The fuel filler pipe was rotten through and leaking, and so that's gone. The rear brake calipers have been swapped over, and they've been bled up and all to spec now. The seat belts in the front were frayed and damaged, and, well, they've also been changed. And finally, the only piece of work carried out by an actual qualified mechanic, the exhaust has been welded up as there was a small hole and it was leaking, and that caused it to fail emissions before.
I mean, this is a great story of British determination and grit, because frankly, what he's achieved is amazing on a driveway. I mean, you genuinely have done well to swap this rear end.
It was a bit hairy, so obviously the days are getting on a little bit now, and I was working mostly after work, which is why there isn't too much footage, because it was pitch black and I was working by torchlight for most of the time. Apart from that whole shenanigans and all the handbrake cables and everything connected over there, wing, it's a slightly different colour. It's from a black one, but that was what was on the breaker. New rear bumper.
And we also have these really cool smoky rear lights.
Yeah, a lot of the interior has been swapped as well. The interior in the other car was very good, so that's all going to go in eventually.
I mean, that's actually a big shout out to Morgan, because Morgan has worked tirelessly on the inside.
Yeah. And me and Trev disassembled the old one, and I can tell you there's a reason that dash has not been changed. That was the best part of 45 seconds, tearing it out of the car. We didn't care about, I said seconds, didn't I? I meant minutes.
45 minutes is a bit better. I was thinking 45 seconds, grab. It's gone. What, you wanted to swap them over? Oh. I mean, I've seen the shell of the range, and there was nothing left. You stripped that to...
No. And a nice man from Massington's came and took it away when I wasn't looking, so I've got just a little clip of it disappearing around the corner in a not too of a great manner.
There was very little left of this car.
But, and here's the best thing, that shell cost me £200 in total for all of these bits. And the nice people at Assington Autos gave me £165 for it.
Which means we are massively under budget for this car.
That was £35 for everything this thing needed to pass an MOT.
And admittedly, guys, it's a bit rougher than it looks in the video, but it's a totally passable car, and actually it's better than that one. It's better than everything in the shed.
If you ignore this arch, which I'm technically suffering up.
Don't look over there. Look at me, because this is the best bit over here where I am. Don't look where Matt is.
The MOT tape has fallen off over here, though.
Yes. So it's taken a lot of Matt's time, and he should be very proud of it. But what we do have here is a car which has an MOT and works.
It's slightly above the mileage limit for the challenge, which I'm sure we're going to get penalised
Yes,
on.
we are going to get penalised. The challenge was a car that was under 100,000 miles, less than 500 quid, it had an MOT. And we have most of these things.
165,000 pounds.
So it's only slightly over.
Only about another 65%.
Yeah. We when we saw this car, we got a little bit excited because we thought it'd be quite good fun, and kind of forgot about some of the rules. So sorry.
One other thing, which is probably worth mentioning about this car. So, Toyota Celica T-Sports have the lovely 2ZZ GE engine. That's the same engine you'll find in a Lotus Elise. And that means the engines are actually worth quite a fair bit of money. In fact, to get a good engine, you'll probably spend the best part of £800.
And the seller did when we put this one up. He was surprised we were doing something with the car. He thought we were just going to take the engine, didn't he?
Yes. But the engine wasn't so good in this car. So,
when we drove it home, Matt said, I really hope the lift bolts on this are okay.
it was engaging lift when we picked it up. And there's one thing you need to know about Toyota Celica T-Sports. The 2ZDG engine has some lift bolts, and what they do is they hold the hydraulically actuated camshaft thingamybobber, which makes you have valve lift, which makes you go faster, gives you more power.
And good noises.
If they're sheared, which they do on earlier cars because it's an old bolt design, you have to disassemble the engine and not just take the rocker covers off, pop them out and pop new ones in. You have to take the camshafts out.
Would you like to have a guess at this moment, guys? What was wrong with this one?
So, that is every T-Sport owner's worst nightmare. Sheared intake lift bolt. Now, it's sheared because initially it like this. So this is the old style where it's a fairly blunted tip. The newer bolts look like that. These are the ones you want to replace with, but the problem is now is I've got a sheared chunk of a bolt in the engine. Right, this should be all off. We now just need to slide it off over the studs. And that's your lift solenoid off. So, we're just getting the cam caps off at the moment. I've already got the first one off. That links the exhaust and the intake. Now, you'll notice on there they're labelled I2, I3, I4, I5, and that one over there was I1. So, there's also a little arrow on them showing them which way to put back in the engine. Because if you don't, it's never going to be happy. So, over here you can see the progression of the lift shaft coming out. It's that bit just there. See it? Dot, dot, dot. I'll put some towel underneath to catch the bit when it comes out, but yeah, let's keep tapping. Right, so apologies for the awful phone footage, but it's far too dark for any camera but a magical pixel at the minute. Right here you can see the broken lift bolt. That's going to be a pain to get out. That does not look good. I'm thinking that might need drilling out over here. They should really just tap out, but we shall see, But the exhaust cam is out. The intake cam is still in, although we will need to take that out to reset the timing, or reset the chain tensioner even. And yeah, just gotta get that out. I might wait till it's tomorrow though, because it's once again working very, very late. Very, very, very late. Yes, all fun and games. I just need to button up this engine so it doesn't get all crud in it, and we're good to finish for the night. So Morgan's arrived to save the day, and he's nipped by Halfords this morning and got some bolt extractors. That's our broken lift bolt. It's out, which means now all we need to do is kind of put the engine back together. Yeah. You can actually see what's going on now, as opposed to 10 o'clock last night where it was just all a blurry mess. But yes, we're out.
How many days until we leave, Matt?
4. This is easy now. I can do the rest of this. This is fine. No troubles. So while Morgan's tackling the interior, I've got to get this the lift shaft back in. I've had to straighten it out. There's a little nook on here you can use to straighten it out with a screwdriver. So that's now in line with the lift bolt. So now I just need to push it back in with a pry bar, and then it will be fixed. You can also now in the light see my my arrangement of cable ties holding the cams in place better, so I don't have to redo the tension.
Oh, that's... There we go. Look who's finally turned up to help.
So it's black, that
Yeah.
black to that black, is it? No, that black to that.
Yellow should be the bottom
Yep,
one.
so it should be like that. Nope. Oh, we're so close. There, no. That one there.
Like that.
Yeah, I've got a finger.
Can you hold that?
Yep.
Okay. Right. Try feeding it over now.
Yep, that would be lined up. Just give it a look. There you are in time. That, okay, so we need, but I need to change
We'll do this one first.
That's relatively
Yeah.
easy.
This one's a lot easier. We cannot quite believe that at the moment. Yeah, that's the correct one. Yeah.
And what's the torque settings on these?
It's some torque. The guide says it, but it's not on our screen at the minute.
It's some torque, but we do have a proper tool.
We do have a correct torque. Because my one's gone missing somehow. My one's at the shed.
It's strange that it's gone missing, isn't it? If only
Yeah.
I knew where it would be. And this is Morgan, who is an interior specialist now.
Yes. Yes, they should. This is terribly funny to you, but at the time, this was
soul destroying at the time, and I've never seen Matt look quite so unhappy. And my reaction was pretty similar at the time, and he wasn't impressed.
so 2-3 weeks before its first outing, and the one feature of this car, the one reason you'll spend more money on this than on a normal one, was broken.
This is pretty much how he reacted at the time. I was really upset for him and really hurt, but it also absolutely hilarious.
Tell you what though, I fixed it, didn't I?
Yeah, all credit to Matt. Again, on his driveway, with nothing but a spanner and a socket set.
And a power drill and swearing.
Oh, and my ratchet thing.
Yeah, the impact gun, we just need to get more of them. That paid dividends.
That was an eBay special as well, and that's done really well. So,
I mean, the entire rear suspension without that rattle gun would have been... Oh yeah, I couldn't have done it.
but I came to help Matt put it back together, and was very helpful.
Yeah, you held the cams while I popped the caps on. And I'm pleased to report this has actually just come back from a 1,000 mile shakedown run before it's off on its challenges. And everything in the engine held together. And I did hit lift and I did hit wide open throttle. So we know that is maybe good.
What we don't know is how it's going to cope with being absolutely redlined in a drag challenge.
Oh no, I know how it's going to cope with being redlined.
At the end of the day, yeah, Matt has done a phenomenal job turning this around from something that probably was never going to run again to a genuinely really nice car and quite a contender for this drag race.
All of this brings the grand total cost of this car to the following. £300 for the initial vehicle, £200 for the breaker Celica. This was discounted down to £35 by getting £165 back from Assington Autos. The only other expenditure on the car so far has been the exhaust, which was welded for the princely sum of £30. That means even if you want to include the cost of an MOT at another £30, this entire car has cost £395. I think I might have just got the bargain of the century.
And so this time next month, guys, you'll get the video of us doing the challenge itself, and you get to see how well we do and what everybody else has bought. Because we know, I think a couple of the channels have said what they've got, but one or other, we don't know what we're racing against entirely. We know, I think, one of the cars we're racing against.
Two.
Two of the cars we're racing against, but we don't know the other. So that's exciting. So they might now see this and go, we need to up our game. Or they might be sitting there going, or alternatively might be going, damn. So, yeah, tune in this time next month for how this gets on and how a professional race team we can be. Oh, part of the challenge as well is an eco challenge. We've got to do a fuel run and see how bad it is on fuel first.
Yeah, it's probably won't win that.
No, it's going to lose that badly. So we're going to be at significantly negative points before it gets to the runway.
Yes, and then they're getting sold afterwards. So if anyone's interested in a 2002 Toyota Celica
Perfect condition.
with all major work apart from that arch rod done to it, going to be for sale.
Yeah, it will be for sale at some point.
So even though this is the first time you're seeing this car, and it is going to be sold as part of the drag challenge, there are some other places you're going to see this year, because we have some other plans lined up for this little Celica. So keep your eyes tuned for that. But now it's done 1,000 miles of normal driving. It's time to see what I'll actually do on a drag strip.